Welcome, angry faithful, to the What the Hell on Fridays, where we get into the news, find any kind of political bull stuff that happens, and report on it. The main thing that we wanted to go after right now, and probably there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, is Tulsi Gabbard has resigned. And the reason why she resigned isn't because of anything that the political system has done or is doing. She got out because her husband was diagnosed with a severe bone cancer. This is her post on X. I'm deeply grateful for the trust President Trump has placed in me, for the opportunity to lead the DNI, Department of National Intelligence, for the last year and a half. Unfortunately, I must submit my resignation effective June 30th, 2026. My husband, Abraham, has recently been diagnosed with an extreme rare form of bone cancer. He faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months. At this time, I must step away from the public service to be by the side of my husband and fully support him through his battle. So everybody's probably going to say the reason why she's out is because she got upset with Trump or something to that extent. No, her husband has bone cancer. Praying for him. Put him in your prayers. I mean, that stuff is no joke. So, yeah. Hopefully he gets through it. So, other news.
Do you know they already have a replacement?
Yeah, they probably already had a replacement for the longest time. There was some sources that said she was getting out earlier than that. he's Cuban, so he's gonna go through a lot of stuff to go through that. Yeah, but
you did see that wasn't a Cuban outfit.
I know it wasn't Cuban outfit. It was Tulsi Gabbard outfit with the Tulsi hair. You know how she got her hair like that, right?
It was an incident in the military. Something happened, and she decided to keep it as a reminder.
It wasn't. What had happened was, it was a scary situation. It's very rare that it actually does happen. What happens is if you're in a stressful situation, i.e., battle, and a lot of stuff doesn't go as planned and you get scared, it's called a fear strand. That's actually what it's called. It's called a fear strand. You get gray hairs really fast because of that. I mean, it looks cool. Makes her look roguish. So, anyways, like I said, hopefully Tulsi Gabbard, her husband Abraham comes out, and hopefully she's a really good part of the political spectrum. So,
speaking of out, gone.
Oh, yeah. Alan Green.
Yeah, his Texas seat has been removed.
So does, you're kind of late on that one. His seat and Jasmine Crockett's seat. You like to report stuff like really, really late, like half a year.
Well, did we already report that a few weeks ago?
We reported that 3 months ago.
We did?
Yeah, because we were talking about the redistricting. And Al Green's got canned, and so did Jasmine Crockett's. So, yeah. Anyways, the biggest news that's happening right now is Trump is not going to Florida, but this is what's happened so far. He's got rushed back to the White House. President Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, was targeted in an assassination plot by an Iranian IRGC trained terrorist. This is coming from the New York Post. Muhammad Ali al-Sadi, an Iraqi national who was recently caught by federal law enforcement, pledged to take out Ivanka and had a blueprint of her house in Florida. The plot was part a revenge against Trump for killing General Soleimani. Absolutely terrifying. Former deputy military Ashate told NYP, New York Police Department, New York Post, after Kazemi was killed, Al-Sani, went around telling people we need to kill Ivanka to burn down the house of Trump the way he burned down our house. We heard that he had a plan of Ivanka's house in Florida. Thank God she's safe, and the guy's in custody. So that might be one of the reasons, but this is one of the things he's already apprehended. So I don't think it's actually that. It's just one of the things they posted about what's happening with Trump right now.
Well, if they did that, if they went after Ivanka, I figure is he pissed enough to just decide to level Iran?
I hate to say this right now, but for the past, he gave him 7 days. Then he gave him 10. And then nothing. He needs to take action because they haven't said anything. And everybody's like, oh, you're just a warmonger. No, I'm not warmongering. You put us in a situation, okay? If someone comes up and targets Bill, and I go, well, we're going to be around there. Better watch out. And I don't do anything other than just say that. Someone's going to go after Bill. Now, if I go, hey, I'm not going to be online for a couple of weeks because I'm going to have to be outside of Bill's house constantly with all my armaments to protect Bill. Even though we advised the police department to do a courtesy check every couple of hours for a month until the suspect is taken care of. If it's a viable threat, then yeah, that's a course of action that you have to do. What he is doing now, and I understand the reason why we can't do anything too bad right now is because we don't know who we're dealing with. We probably still don't know who we're dealing with right now. Some people are saying it's the president of Iran. Some people aren't saying anything. The main problem that we're having right now is for the main thing on the treaty that we want right now is all of their radioactive material. We're trying to get all that. That's part of it. We don't want them to have that because even at 60%, you can make a dirty bomb. So there's that. As of right now, I think that's what I hope they're doing is they're taking action and carrying around a big stick because that's what we need. We need these people to stop what they're doing, put their pen on the paper and sign that treaty. One, we need that straight open We need a lot of stuff being done right now. It's like everything else, like during the Afghan war, the GWAT. We basically took over Afghanistan within probably about 3 weeks, maybe less. And we mowed out the Burger King and Pizza Hut and all the stuff at the flight line and made a base. And then we tried to get everybody and give them democracy. They don't do democracy over there that much. That was nation building. We've only done it twice. And that was after World War II. We kind of did it in South Korea. But after we did that, we thought we were succeeding. It was because there are people that actually want to believe in democracy. And it's been beneficial for us. Germany, not so much right now. Japan, a lot in Japan. Japan is actually a really, really good trade partner right now. But other than that, yeah.
Well, he has a strategy a few weeks ago, and he said he would give it 3 to 4 weeks, and that's to starve them out. They said with the amount of money that they'll lose in the blockade, they could last 3, maybe 4 weeks, and they're not going to be able to pay anyone.
Well, even as of right now, our blockade is causing way too much damage. And this is just my opinion. It is causing way too much damage. One, those tankers are leaking oil into the Persian Gulf right now.
Well, the tankers aren't.
No, the tankers are.
No, they're letting it out from Karg Island because the pumps still have to run, and they don't have any place to store it.
Exactly. They put them in tankers,
right?
Or old tankers to store them, and those tankers are leaking now. You can look it up and prove them.
Oh, no. I thought you were making a comment of like the other people, the other countries' tankers that are needing to pull it out.
No.
That's what I thought you were getting at. That's why I was saying
no. They're putting him into old tankers they have lying around, and those old tankers have not been serviced for a long time, and they're leaking. I hate to say this, it's an environmental fucking disaster too. Even though we'll get to that other part too, which is kind of funny. Now, local news. City of Wichita Falls releases statement denying contract or other agreements to provide water for a data center. Bill, you had some kind of angry fist pump in there. You're just really angry about that. What part did you? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a bunch of bullshit. You know, if you sell something, right, and someone does something with what you sell, they have done it. Now, yeah, there are some directives on what the other people can do with it, but they're acting like that the city of Wichita Falls, the mayor, has gone, okay, I'm selling water to Google in Archer County. No, we sell water to Archer County through the Wichita Valley Water Supply Corporation. They provide it to Archer County. So it isn't some new ass thing that, oh, look, he made an agreement. How old is that ass thing? 1991. We signed the first agreement with the Wichita Valley Water Supply Corporation in 1991. And that's what they're all in an uproar. The way the Times and Record News in Wichita Falls wrote it, it sounds like they just now made some agreement. And it doesn't matter that it's been corrected. They put it out there. Channel 6 put it out there. Then someone, then they did a correction, but it doesn't matter because the liberals all over town that are the anti-data center zealots have taken and copy pasted that over and over and over. They're posting it in the rants and raves group probably it seems like every couple hours it pops up. And I haven't gone back and followed up on my comment, but I did make a comment that, hey, that agreement's been around since 91. And I'm going to do a screenshot of the document. I mean, they followed up with various different stipulations, amounts, and all that. And one of the things is they said 150,000 gallons. Is that what they're saying it was? And then it's 30-something thousand gallons. Well, my car has a speedometer. It's 160 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. It's limited, governor, to 144.
Okay.
Do I do 144 miles an hour? Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. In an emergency, I could, but not usually. Okay. I won't say fell asleep one time. My wife was driving, and when the car was newer, you really couldn't hardly tell the thing was moving. And I opened my eyes and went, holy shit. I won't say the speed she was going, but it was slightly above the speed limit. Mm-hmm. But normally, 75 miles an hour? So the car has the capability. So when someone takes out a contract on water, one, they might not have exactly known the full specs of what they were going to need as far as how many people were going to be working there and needing water. So they're going to overestimate. They're going to put a buffer in. They're going to say, we might need this much water. Well, some data centers, say up north, if they're evaporative cooling, they might need that much water that they submit for a couple of weeks out of the year. And then the rest of the time, they may need a tenth of the amount of water. But the activists always point out to the largest amount that they have requested. Well, now that they've gotten things worked out, I think it's 32 or 36,000 gallons a day is what they're looking at. And the data center itself is advanced air cooled, so it itself is going to use no water for cooling of the processors. It's just for landscaping, sinks, and toilets, and all that.
Oh, okay.
But that's what they're pushing around right now, and it's easy to do stuff like that. Let me continue for a moment while I find something. Oh, there it is. Okay, here's what's going on with Google now. You cannot trust Google, and here's why the activists are finding bullshit. Normally, you could say, what is the type of cooling and amount of water a data center will use? Because they're going around and they're comparing it to this in Georgia that uses this many million gallons a day, and this and this and this. But you got to look at each individual data center. But you can't anymore. Here's what happened. What is the cooling and water use of a data center that is planned for about half a mile from Cedar Creek Lake, Texas? Anytime someone mentions, oh, the data center is good, I look up the individual data center. Here's what it came up with. The proposed data center near Cedar Creek has drawn heavy local scrutiny. The massive AI facility is projected to consume 1 to 5 million gallons of water a day.
Okay.
What? Now, I went into that last week, the 1 to 5 million gallon bullshit stat that they keep using, that it's from a 2023 study that used only evaporative cooling data centers as an example. It didn't use any of the low water usage. And then, like I was saying, only a couple of weeks out of the year might they even use that. It used evaporative and the highest amount of the year. So I was like, what the hell? I said, is the facility specs 1 to 5 million gallons per day, or is that an activist talking point? So they've Google bombed the net now to the point where they've manipulated AI algorithms. So it went, well, the 1 to 5 million gallons per day is a generalized industry benchmark. No, it's that phony study. And I said, here was my response after it did all that bullshit. I know where the 5 million gallons per day study they throw around originates. It's a BS figure, was from 2023, blah, 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 just like I said. They didn't use this, that. So anything with most or usually or typically is completely irrelevant to new construction. And I said, there isn't even a data center proposed near me that's evaporative cooled. Not a one. Okay. So they haven't even mentioned that type of cooling. Here was the response. Oh, you're spot on. They actually have mentioned the specific source of cooling of that data center. It's going to use 10,000 gallons per day of water for domestic use. And it's going to be a closed loop system using virtually no water. So it took 3 prompts for me to actually get the specs of the data center, when in the first one I was asking for the specs. So they've manipulated the system. So if someone looks it up, they're going to see that 1 to 5 million that totally doesn't apply to the data center. He said, you're spot on that the activists have mentioned it all over the place. So that's why I'm pulling that information in. And that's where we're getting the issues. It's just pure manipulation. And I've seen that in more than one. I've got another one. Here's one more good one. Are there any evaporative cooled data centers planned for North Central Texas? Yes. Evaporative cooled data centers are heavily planned and actively expanding across North Texas, though they face intense public and regulatory pushbacks. And I went, the anti-data center activists here push the idea like all data centers use a lot of water. I know no data center proposed around here are water guzzlers. They all use closed loop advanced air cooling. By the time they actually go online, many will probably use direct to chip. So how many proposed data centers around here are actually, by their specs, evaporative? Oh, based on the specs, 0. 0 of the proposed or recently approved data centers in the Wichita Falls area are evaporative cooled. And then I moved it up. How many in the North Texas region are evaporative cooled? And only 5% in the North Texas region are designed with traditional cooling. So more than 90% in the entire state do not use evaporative cooling. But in both of the examples I just used, if someone looks it up, they're going to think every one of them use evaporative cooling and use millions of gallons of water a day. This is why the activism is growing. They have successfully, completely manipulated AI. And if you don't know how to search, you're not going to find the real answers.
Are you done with that?
That rant's over.
Okay.
I got plenty more, but we'll.
Yeah, we're gonna beat this like a dead horse, unfortunately. But Poland's in the news. Poland just told the EU to go to hell. President, how do you spell his name? How do you pronounce his name? Nawrocki?
Oh my gosh, Carol. Norrick. I can't believe it. I've only said his name a dozen times ever since at his rally. They said Donald Trump is a symbol of freedom for the world.
Yeah, it's Nawrocki. Vetoed a digital service act. The state is supposed to guarantee freedom, but it's not. It's restricting it. The EU spends years building the most sophisticated censor machine in the Western world. One man, one veto destroyed it. Think about what the law actually was. Government decides what you can post. The government decides what you can share. The government decides what is true. The government decides what you are allowed to think. Poland said no. While Germany complied, France complied, and the entire EU rolled over. Poland vetoed it. Same Poland that buys more gold than ECB, European Central Bank. The same Poland that suppressed the European Central Bank and reserves, and the same Poland that has been right about everything that's happening in Europe, is now the last wall standing between European citizens and the state-controlled speech. The EU doesn't want free speech; it wants a manageable one. Poland's reminded them what freedom actually looks like. I wonder if we still have a person that's from Poland that listens to us every once in a while. But if you do, tell us how it is in Poland. I mean, I'm kind of wondering. I like to look at the stuff about Poland and other countries to see how they're doing.
It's safe. It's beautiful. It's one of the top places that I would want to go.
You can say that now, but I remember there's a time that a couple of the service members from America went there, and they started a person just started ranting at them. We did a video about that, and
We did.
yeah, we did. It was a instance that they were just berating these U.S. soldiers.
Well, that's another thing they've gotten into. The surveillance aspect is they have made people so paranoid with the surveillance aspect of these things that if you go in through some of the comment sections, people are getting violent. They're threatening violence against data centers, and part of it is this surveillance thing. And did I mention flock? I mentioned flock cameras last week, didn't I, or not? Flock cameras are the surveillance cameras that are all over the place, and reading license plates and everything. And people are like, flock cameras. If we stop data centers, we'll stop. I did. If we stop data centers, we'll stop flock cameras. Well, flock cameras process most of the information on the camera themselves, and then they transmit that little bit of information, and it goes to two data centers, an Amazon web server, GovCloud East and West, and that's where your data is. So you stopping at your local friendly data center isn't going to do anything about surveillance. And they talk about storing personal information. I looked into that, and with the compression of data storage in server racks now, they could take and pretty much what was it? Everything about anyone for 80 years, for all 300 and something million Americans, they could store it in a corner of one of the data centers. Information like that, as far as storage, when you compress it, and with how much they've compressed chips, it doesn't take up that much space. So the data centers aren't being built to store and surveil. That's just, one data center, little corner, could hold all the information. That is not what they're for.
Okay. Here's the thought, and this is just the thought that I'm trying to keep up with what you're doing, but I'm also trying to keep up with what's might be happening as of right now. This is not definitive. It's not. I want to say it's opinion, but this is just the information that I'm gathering right now about the reasoning why Trump is going back to the White House, the developments. One is Cuba. We just arrested one of their Cuban nationals just recently. They might be coming back to the table because Cuba is literally, and if you pull up some kind of photo, Bill, I swear I'm going to go to your house. But anyways, go ahead, put it up. I already seen it in the thing. Go ahead. I know how Johnny feels now. On Nerd Sports. Make computer Cuba great again. Okay. Cuba's been without power for months. The people are starving. They might have. We just recently sent in. We're supposed to. I think we're supposed to send in. And we'll go over this. I have a. If you're listening, unless you're Spanish speaking, you're not going to get a lot of this. It's all. It does have an annotation of American speaking, English speaking. But Rubio just sent this week, and this is it might be high likely what this is actually is. But we'll go ahead and I'll
En un
say,
día como hoy, en el 1902, la bandera cubana ondeó por
okay.
En un día
On
como
a
hoy, en
day
el
like today
1902, la
in
bandera cubana ondeó por
1902,
primera vez
Cuban flag
sobre un
flew
país
over some
independiente.
independent country.
Pero sé que hoy
But
ustedes,
now,
quienes llaman a la isla su hogar,
today, you
atraviesan dificultades inimaginables.
through
Hoy quiero compartirles la verdad sobre el motivo de su sufrimiento y quiero contarles lo que nosotros en los Estados Unidos le ofrecemos para ayudarlos no solo a aliviar la
David,
actual,
yeah.
sino también
mute the video and restart it.
un futuro mejor.
Okay.
The reason you're forced to.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a day like today in 1902, the Cuban flag flew for the first time over an independent country. But I know that today, you who call the island your home are going through unimaginable hardships. About the reason for their suffering, and I want to tell you what we in the U.S. are offering to help you. Not only alleviate the current crisis, but also to build a better future. The reason you're forced to survive 22 hours a day without electricity is not due to an oil blockade by the U.S. As you know better than anyone, you have been suffering from blackouts for years. The real reason you don't have electricity, fuel, or food is because those who control your country have plundered billions of dollars, but nothing has been used to help the people. 30 years ago, Raul Castro founded a company called Geisha. This company is owned and operated by the armed forces and has revenues 3 times greater than your current government's budget. Today, while you suffer, these businessmen have $18 billion in assets and control 70% of Cuba's economy. They profit from hotels, construction, banks, stores, and even from the money your relatives send you from the U.S. Everything passes through their hands. From those remittances, they retain a percentage, but from Gaia's profits, that nothing reaches you. Instead of using the money to buy oil, like all other countries in the world, they depended on back up a second. Like from the remittances they retain, but from Gaia's profits, nothing reaches you. Instead of using the money to buy oil, like all other countries in the world, they depended on free oil from Hugo Chavez and Maduro to keep the money. But now that the free oil has stopped coming, they buy their fuel for generators and their vehicles while the people are asked to sacrifice. Instead of using the money to maintain and modernize the damaged power plants, they use the money to build more hotels for foreigners and to send their relatives to live in luxury in Madrid. And even here in the United States. Today, Cuba is not controlled by any revolution. Cuba is controlled by Geisha, a state within a state that is accountable to no one and hoards the profits from its businesses for the benefit of a small elite. And the only role played by the so-called government is to demand that you continue making sacrifices and repressing anyone who dares to complain. President Trump is offering a new leadership between the U.S. and Cuba, but it must be directly with you, the Cuban people, not with Geisha. First, we're offering $100 million in food and medicine for you, the people. But they must be distributed directly to the Cuban people by the Catholic Church or other trusted charitable groups, not stolen by Geisha to sell in one of their stores. But the Cuban people are not interested in permanent charity. You want the opportunity to live in your own country the way your relatives live in the US or in other countries of the world. Today, from media to entertainment, from the private sector to politics, and from music to sports, Cubans have reached the top of virtually all industries in all countries except one: Cuba. Today in Cuba, only those close to the Geisha elite or who are in part of it can have profitable businesses, but President Trump is offering a new path between the US and a new Cuba. A new Cuba where you, the ordinary Cuban, and not just Geisha, can own a gas station or a clothing store or a restaurant. A new Cuba where you, and not just Geisha, can open a bank or have a construction company. A new Cuba where you, and not just the Communist Party of Cuba, can own a television station or a newspaper. A new Cuba where you can complain about a failing system without fear of going to jail or being forced to leave your island. And a new Cuba where you have a real opportunity to choose who governs your country and vote to replace them if they are not doing a good job. This is not impossible. All of this exists in the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and even just 90 miles away in Florida. If owning your own business and having the right to vote is possible around Cuba, why is it not possible for you in Cuba? In the US, we are ready to open a new chapter in the relationship between our people and our countries. And currently, the only thing standing in that way of a better future are those who control your country. Over.
I know.
You're marveling at my narration skills.
I hate your narration skills because they're
No?
I gotta figure that out before we get done. So yeah,
Figure out what, because I haven't, I'm not familiar with it. What Geisha, G-A-E?
it is.
It would be good as many times as I repeated that for us to know what it is.
The Transnations Business Administration Group, and it's translated from Spanish. Is a powerful military-run business, what she said. Conglomerates that controls an estimate 40 to 70% of the Cuban economy. It was established in 1990 by Raul Castro, which he said, and given in the to give the Revolutionary Army forces financial independence. It demands the island's most lucrative sectors, including tourism, banking, real estate, and commerce. So basically, it's the actual group that controls Cuba.
And if you actually say it, it's the Grupo de Administración Empresarial.
Yeah,
SA.
that's what I said, but I said it in English.
I don't understand Spanish, but the only thing that still sticks with me is I learned how to read it.
I get yelled at by Spanish women all the time, so I understand like a little bit. I just can't like speak it.
Do you just know when it's an insult, or tone of voice should tell you that?
Yeah, it's basically a tone of voice. That's the only way I understand Spanish.
I have a lot of people I don't understand, but I know the tone of voice, so you can just go.
I'm usually going up and going, she's pissed off about something. How do you know that? It's all in Spanish. Because it's all towards me, and I know when a woman's being hateful towards me. Been around for a while, so I know that. But yeah, I'm still not getting anything else from I guess we'll learn in a couple of hours what's happening. I'm hoping it's something to do with Cuba and them getting the supplies they need. And
Well, oddly enough, 2 hours ago, so I guess near the same time that all this was going on, Trump put out a Truth Social with this image. Now, I have explained the Golden Dome before, and that it is imperative that we have Greenland for the Golden Dome. We need it.
You're still on that Greenland stuff.
Well, because the very next post that Trump put out,
yeah, I've seen that.
That was 2 hours ago. And then some of the responses to that, this. See that, David?
Mm-hmm.
I bet buying out Greenland is still cheaper than funding daycares in Minneapolis. I like this one, but I don't know. Canada's a waste. Greenland maybe, but not Canada. You know, here's Canada. In relation to all of it.
Yeah.
That's Canada.
You like cats. See, the whole reason why our numbers jumped up is because you put pictures of cats. So
I did one time, and I wish I knew where the conversation went. I had a big thing going with AI on the carbon footprint of all of everyone's cat videos and pictures being stored worldwide. And there really is a huge, you know, you can store data on people and the file is small, but when you get into huge high resolution images, that does take some space. And there was a real high carbon footprint of data center power used to store cat pictures and videos. And it even went down, if people deleted 10% of their cat videos, this is how much it would save the earth.
Speaking of climate change,
it's been changing a lot lately. It's cool, then it's warm, then it's hot.
God, my sinuses are horrible right now because of that.
I don't. Alexa, no, go away. Never mind. She said that when I asked Alexa, go away. She said that when I asked her the temperature the other day, it was going to be 90 or it was 90, and she said it's a scorcher out there, and I'm like, 90's not really a scorcher. Maybe, don't you know, you're in Wichita Falls, you're in North Texas. 90 isn't really a scorcher. Sure, if you're in Chicago, you can say it's a scorcher out there, but not here. That doesn't relate to us. But it'll make all the water evaporate, and then with the data center and all the evaporation from the scorcher temperatures, we're not gonna have anything to drink.
You're going a little crazy. No, they just had a statement. That was in September though. But they're saying
Talk
that
about old news.
Yeah, it is pretty old news. But it was just something recently they published on a couple of websites that's saying that climate change was a scam. And this is even coming from like the UN. They had documentations and everything. And they're like, yeah, even Bill Gates is going, climate change is not really that bad.
It's a scam.
It is a scam. Most of that stuff stuff like that is a scam. And I've said this a lot because there's a big difference. It's just pollutants. Okay. There's a big difference between pollutants when you go to like a big city. Big cities, yes, they have big time pollutants. And you have to figure out a way to station that. But when you go out to, you're trying to emphasize to like a person that has like 100 acres and they're very far away from like any kind of big city, maybe about 30, 45 minutes, telling them about, pollution and everything is ridiculous because they really don't really have that much because it's open skies. You're able to breathe. It's fantastic. So, yeah.
So, along with the other pollution argument in data centers, the backup generators, like local, more than likely they might run once a month for a few minutes to test them. But so they come up with the indirect water usages. They're guzzling. Okay, the power generation is going to guzzle the water. But what do we have in North Texas? Wind and solar, a lot of wind and solar. In fact, I went into this last week, how we waste electricity because of we have too much wind and not enough places to store it. So the water guzzling is indirect water use. But then I asked, well, power right now in our region, it's being fed a lot by massive wind and solar farms. And I suspect with the build time of many years, sometimes a decade of getting these data centers built out, they might actually use SMR, small modular reactors that use zero water. And the AI is, oh, you've hit the nail on the head. The narrative surrounding data center energy use is deeply flawed. And your logic about small modular reactors and local renewables aligns with the current energy trends. So you look at the build time, like our local one isn't even going to go online until 2028. 2032 is the full build approximate. The big one that Kevin O'Leary is building in Utah, that thing isn't even going to go online for over a decade. Now, they've pushed the timeline of small modular reactors up, which were going to be 2035 to 2040, and then it's the early 2030s. And now you might see some of them start to go online 2029, 2030, and in mass deployment in 2031 as early as. And a lot of those now use zero water for cooling. So the AI kind of confirmed the timeline of build and the timeline of getting more solar, wind, and small modular reactors is fitting together. So all of these, oh, it's going to pollute and do this, will not by the time it happens. And that's why you can't give exact numbers. Oh, the data center we need an exact number of water usage and power. Well, the latest chips are going to be coming out. They've reduced the power usage of them, but they're packing more in. But then the new chips are air cooled, so you don't require chillers. They actually have water flowing through at 113 degrees. They're called hot cooled. So that reduces the amount of electricity you need. So all these people screaming about transparency, we need exact numbers. The technology is advancing so fast. Exact numbers aren't possible because what's a high number today? Their efficiency is going to dwindle it tomorrow.
Yeah, because I just looked up find out when China's going to be ready, and theirs is 2032, so 2030 also.
What?
So,
small modular reactors?
No, they're AI program data centers.
They're building dozens of them everywhere. There's not going to be one.
Well, that's okay. That's the one that we're severely worried about because France is another one, which I don't foresee anything happening with France only because they're in the same bracket with Germany with their power supply. So
now France went big with nuclear. France actually has, and this is why they could pose a threat for data centers. They actually have excess power and export nuclear. And what their plan is, as they build data centers, if they need more power, they're going to be building power at the same time. But if they need more power, they can cut their exports of nuclear and feed it over to a data center. So they're fine with it. But what's going on with data centers and the activists? I couldn't believe that he just figured it out a couple of weeks ago. Oh,
You're opening an AI data center. Speaking of another issue, in Utah, you're opening an AI data center, and it seems like a positive thing, but there's a lot of protesters. What's going on?
So you're right, and they deserve their answers. We're not trying to circumvent any processes. We have to get water permits, air permits. There seems to be a general trend across the nation to be against data centers. And I started to wonder why when on the morning of May 4th, I had a huge uplift in complaints on my own social media feeds. And our own people started to do a digital audit, and we found this organization in Utah that was really, really pushing out misinformation into Box Elder County. I don't know these people, but they're called Alliance for a Better Utah. And I thought, gee, this is really expensive to do what they're doing. Who's funding it? So I launched an audit, and lo and behold, this money is coming from China. An organization called Alabella, and I'm going to publish it over the weekend. We looked at all the IRS Form 990s that through a really clandestine, it's amazing. They're basically bringing in millions of dollars into Utah to push out PR, trying to stop any advance in power generation or in AI compute or any kind of compute. Who would want that? Only the Chinese. I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it, but they should rename this thing Alliance for a Better China in Utah after you look at how much money is coming out of China pouring into this organization.
Kevin, I only have a few moments here, but that's fascinating to me because China's coming into the United States, buying up farmland, infiltrating our society, and now you think funding protesters against an American entrepreneur?
This is irrefutable. This is Form 990 from the IRS. Now, it's done through a whole bunch of clandestine different entities, and I've traced every single one, and I'm going to publish it today. And I hope these people, Taylor Noth and Josh Cantor, whoever they are, who run this organization, they got a lot of explaining to do to their fellow citizens in Utah, because they are not, it doesn't look like to me they're supporting the mandate in Utah at all. They're supporting China.
Mm-hmm. So it took them that.
Do what?
It took them that long, huh?
Yeah, I've only been saying it for three months. I said, hey, these activists are getting 4 months. These activists are getting 5.
No, it's been a while.
Yeah, these activists are getting funded by foreign billionaires, and one of them is I think I mentioned this. He's a Swiss billionaire whose goal is to reimagine or reinterpret the American Constitution for progressive ideas, something like that. I don't have the exact sentence, but similar to that. So he wants to influence our Constitution, and he's funding some of these anti-data center groups. And I'll tell you, it's getting worse and worse with this one person out there that I saw turn. And took 4 days for her to turn. And now, as far as activist organizations all over Texas pounced on her one post. And she has become one of the biggest anti-data center crusaders in the state of Texas. But I won't say it. Lady. Your crusade days are numbered as far as how you're crusading against the data centers. It's not going to work for long.
Yeah, it usually doesn't. The only other thing I have right now is this is May. And right now, what is possibly a good thing, Alberta. Looking at some of the stuff for the if anything, they just go, you know what? We gave you a chance. We're going to take an offer with the U.S., see if they can help out with security, and we're out. And they just stop giving everything to Canada, and they just become independents that way, which it would probably be a little bit easier to do it that way and funnier.
Danielle is just walking a line with that. Basically, after the court squashed the as far as getting the referendum on the ballot, she came out and said, okay, we're going to put something on the ballot for you guys to make some decision. And then if you get enough signatures or vote for it, then we'll fight it in court. And it's like, what? So I don't know. I love her, but she's trying to walk a line now.
Yeah. I've been seeing that a little bit here lately. And go ahead.
I have backing up one more thing on data centers, China, and why the AI race is important. And this is Doug Burgum, who made a statement recently.
I don't worry about us not having technological leadership. I worry about us on the build, baby, build, because we're still running into this thing where there are some states that literally are passing bans on AI data centers. And it's not organic and local. Some of this is foreign source dark money coming in, and the people that used to fight on climate change have shifted. They don't talk climate change because they realize it's a losing argument. I can't get people excited about 1 degree of climate change, but man, I can lie to them about why their electric bill went up. And I say lie because there are elections occurring in states right now where people are running on the affordability of electricity, and there's never been a data center built in their state, and there won't be a data center because these data centers are not going to go to places where you've got 2 to 3 times higher electricity. 100 years ago, you wouldn't have put a wheat mill someplace where there was no water, no power, and the wheat costs 3 times as much. Why would you do that? So these arguments are specious. And then in my own state, when I was still governor, we put a $1.2 billion data center in a town of 800 people. You know what happened to the electric rates? They went down. You're like, that's impossible. That's impossible. When you bring in AI, the rates go up because they use so much power. No, we brought them in, and it's a fixed cost, the thing called the grid. You bring in a new customer who's willing to pay a premium, and they bought down the rates for all the 800 local farmers, ranchers, and small town folks that had a meter. They bought it all down. And then the townspeople said, yeah, but what about housing? They're going to come in our little town. They're going to drive all the housing up. And the people building the data center for $1.2 billion, which is more than the entire tax base of the entire county, said, oh, well, we'll build 30 new single family homes. Is that okay? And then they're like, do you need any like special breaks or free land? No, we'll just do it. They just did all that stuff. And then I asked them when I was governor, I said, did you ask anything of the data center builders that they said no to? And they said no. I said, well, they said, why? I said, because you didn't ask enough. You should have asked for a new gym and new uniforms and new everything. Because it's like there's so much money to be made in manufacturing intelligence. And so there are ways to make this work, and there's ways around the country where it is working. And it's not voodoo economics, and it's not subsidies. It's you take a fixed cost grid, then you add a new customer payer on there.
Hey, David.
I got people texting me about there's personal people that actually watch this show, and they're texting me like they could comment on the show, but instead they go direct. So
I went to I've been watching the comments. I even made a note to you that no one's commenting.
I think they're being quiet, even though we have a lot of people in there, or they're bots. I'm happy. I don't care. I'm not worried about it. the people that are watching are just watching. And thank you for watching. You know, if you can use a comment, helps us out. But, you know, no big deal. But to let everybody know, this is what I have so far with the Cuban, with Trump going back to the White House. It is either Cuba or Iran. Both things are the one thing that's going in right now. I would bet Iran right now. Their skies are clear right now. Nothing's going over Iran right now. And the good bet it would be Iran if you're in the Polymart and you want to figure out if we're gonna blow up pieces of Iran again. That's possibly because Iran has been attacking UAE in a bad way. They've been hitting their oil depots, and this is right after UAE got out. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They effectively May 1st got out of OPEC, and Iran is part of OPEC. So,
You know, you mentioned the poly market, and it made me think of this.
oh yeah, the whole
Guess what happened? Guess
Yeah.
what happened on this day where Ken Paxton just went from here to here, and Cornyn went here to here. What happened right then?
that's another
Something
thing.
happened.
Okay. You foreshadowing stuff like that. That's okay. But actually, get about the actual stuff on that. Trump went 41 to 1 on all the people in CNN and everybody else keep on saying,
But
"Oh,
Mac is dead, isn't it?
give me a minute before you interrupt me, Bill." I'm seriously, I need to say I'm sorry to Johnny. Yes, finally, he's gone. But anyways, as Bill tries to fix his camera because it's probably gonna explode, Trump went 41 to 1 on all the people that he supported. So everybody from CNN to NBC to everybody saying that Trump doesn't have his power anymore, that he can't help out for anything because, you know, he's damaging his reputation. Guess what? 41 of those people that actually went in, and as soon as he said, vote for this guy, everybody's voted for that guy.
And he said, vote for that guy, and poly market went that way.
Yeah. So Trump still has pull. As much as we want gas to go down, there's some places that the diesel's going up to $6. And unless you're in like California, where they get oil from other countries instead of the U.S. and save $2 a gallon, guess what's going to happen? Oh, you're going to have really expensive gas. Even when the gas goes down, you're going to have really expensive gas. You'll have $3 gas while we'll have like $1.15 gas. So, anyways, everybody, that is it. Do you have anything else, Bill? I'm done.
Well, I was looking for I've got two more really quick things. Conoco has done this in California.
All right, check it out. We're at Chevron. Sacramento policies did this. Now you pay more. California politics are choosing foreign oils and fuel over local jobs and lower costs. This is at the Chevron right here, okay? Right here.
So they're making sure people know that it's Chevron's making sure that people know it's not Trump's fault. that the
Yeah.
prices are going up. And I've got one last little thing, and this has been officially announced now. As far as it's been approved by the is it Historical Commission that does these approvals?
Renderings on your screen right now are from the Commission on Fine Arts' website. They were made by Harrison Design. It's a Washington architectural firm, and they show what the arch will look like from different vantage points once it is built. This is the view from the Arlington Memorial Bridge before, right? This is what it looks like now. This is what it would look like after. From the Lincoln Memorial before and after. From the Lincoln Memorial Circle before and after. And finally, the view from Parkway Drive before and after. Wow.
That's going to be just awesome. And I made a comment on that. You know, those are called triumphal arches, and most major countries in the world have them. And I said someone needs to start misspelling it. Trumpful arch.
Trumpful arch. He likes the brand. He likes the brand. Anyways,
yeah, and I tell you, it's going to be interesting. Later tonight, I'm going to see. I'm going to follow my sources in Europe that I follow, especially the Germans who really fall into the trolling, and I can't wait to see what they're saying about that in Europe. I guarantee you, they're going ape shit. That's all.
Huh. I wonder if Kane's gonna do something in Tennessee. Interesting.
At least we're finally clearing out the damn rhinos.
Oh yeah. So far, Brendan Herrera, he's nominated. He has the nomination, and he's probably going to win his district. He got rid of Tony Gonzalez, or Tony Gonzalez got rid of himself. Kind of thinking that one. But anyways.
Oh, I'm thinking of the bigger ones like that damn Massey.
Coney.
Who?
Massey Coney, our senator.
Oh, Cornyn.
Oh, okay. I'm no crony, because he was a crony.
I sent a request to him today, so I'm not going to say who I voted for right now.
Okay.
I want my request approved, so
It's like he would have to listen to us. And I seriously doubt he's going to listen to us. That would be funny. Is like, I listen to y'all's podcast. Fuck you. You're not getting anything. Click. That would be hilarious. He personally calls you. Fuck you guys. Click.
yeah. Do you think he's one of the multitude of viewers?
Yes, probably. He's the one that gave us the thumbs up. All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I'm David Dickerman.
Wild William.
And check us out on Mondays, where we talk about sports. Fridays is the news and political stuff. Wednesdays is the Secret X channel only. Yeah. But everybody, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
And support your local data center.
Okay, Bill.